Hello everyone, welcome to Anime No Me, and thank you for joining us for another One Piece video. The first leaks for our upcoming chapter of 1073 of the One Piece manga just came out, and with it we got a lot of news about the incredible events that are continuing from the previous chapter. Events which could completely change the history of One Piece. So in today's video, we're going to talk about the early leaks of chapter 1073 of One Piece, being called Miss Buckingham Stussy, referring to one of the main focuses of the chapter, the clone of the pirate Stussy. But before we dive into the video, if you're new to the channel or even if you've watched a bunch of our videos, we'd be absolutely honored if you'd leave us a like and even subscribe and maybe leave us a comment letting us know what you thought of the video. It really helps us out, especially with that old YouTube algorithm, and it keeps motivating us to make more content. And if you'd like to help out the channel in a bigger way, consider sharing this video or another one of your favorites with a friend. But without further ado, let's get into these leaks for chapter 1073. So my friends, before we dive in, we always like to make this disclaimer that please remember that these are just leaks and early ones at that. So when the official translation could come out, we could see that things might be interpreted differently and scenes may actually be in a slightly different order. But with all that said, on the cover of this chapter, we see Vegapunk creating peaceful inventions. Things like tanks that shoot flowers, while Caesar, Judge, and Queen are looking at him in disgust for not having a weapon capable of causing damage or injuring anyone. This chapter picks up right as the last one ended. Lucci attacks Stussy, but he misses because he's attacking an illusion. Something very interesting coming from her, since no other character so far has been shown to have that ability but her. Stussy uses a variation of the Kami-E technique called remaining body, remembering that some new abilities may have a completely different translation when officially released. So we'll use that translation until the official ones come out. Now the fight between Rob Lucci and Stussy is something that happens relatively quickly. While she distracts Lucci with the illusion, Stussy pulls out a lipstick with sea prism stone on the inside to weaken Lucci, and she uses it to touch him just as Smoker uses his Jite to weaken Devil Fruit users. Immediately, as the sea prism stone touches his body, Lucci just goes completely limp and all of his energy is depleted, leaving him greatly weakened and unable to use any of his physical abilities or his Zoan Fruit. And after managing to weaken Lucci, Stussy bites him and causes him to fall asleep just like she did to Kaku. This means that the most powerful of all the CP0 agents have been defeated, including Kaku and Lucci, since Stussy was never really a CP0 agent. She had just infiltrated them for some unknown reason so far. It turns out that the mysterious person that Vegapunk spoke about was Stussy, and that it wasn't Vegapunk's intention for her to become a member of CP0, confirming the fact that Stussy is an ally of the great scientist. In fact, Stussy is one of the creations that Vegapunk considers perfect, to the point of considering her as a human, a creation in which she appears to be loyal to her creator no matter the situation. Now, although Stussy managed to defeat the other CP0 agents that were attacking the island, the Seraphim were still following Lucci's last orders, attacking Vegapunk's laboratory and everyone nearby. What's worse is Stussy cannot override Lucci's order to stop the Seraphim because she is not on the same level as Lucci in the hierarchy of authority, because Lucci is the current leader of CP0, while Stussy is one of the main members of that organization, having pretty much the same authority as Kaku or someone lower. Meanwhile, we see Lilith and Edison leaving the Labosphere, heading towards the Seraphim to stop them from causing even more destruction on Egghead Island, as well as to regain control over these incredibly powerful weapons. S-Hawk moves to attack Lilith before she gives the order to stop, but Zoro stops him easily, managing to block the Little Mihawk's attack, and Zoro fights S-Hawk for a few frames. And during this confrontation, we don't see any new attacks, just common exchanges during this great confrontation. Now, S-Hawk is in shock when faced with Zoro's strength, as although he is a copy of Mihawk, he doesn't yet possess the same strength or even Mihawk's abilities, allowing the Straw Hat Swordsman to subdue S-Hawk. S-Shark goes on to attack Edison while he's trying to give the order to stop, but Sanji saves him, managing to block the attack just like Zoro did to S-Hawk. So then Edison manages to give the order and all the Seraphim stop in place. This makes all the confusion that had been just happening in the place stop, allowing the Punks and the Straw Hats to gather to start planning how they're going to get out of Egghead Island safely. And this is something they need to do really quickly, as the Navy is soon going to be surrounding the island, keeping them from escaping. So the best opportunity to think of a plan would be right then and there. Meanwhile, while all this is going on outside the Labosphere, inside, Luffy and Chopper are running around inside the Labosphere trying to find the real Vegapunk, because he and Bonnie have disappeared, and we don't see anything about the real Vegapunk or Bonnie in this chapter. This means that we're not likely to see Kuma's past in a flashback during this chapter, possibly staying only in for chapter 1074 for Kuma's past to be revealed, allowing new twists to happen during this escape from Egghead Island. The scene then switches to Sphinx Island, the birthplace of Edward Newgate, aka Whitebeard, and Marco's current home after the conflict in Marineford, and it's revealed that the Marines arrived at Sphinx Island while Marco was in Wano helping out. amount. Now, the timing of this isn't quite clear, but they could have been trying to take over the whole place, possibly before even Ryokugyu had arrived in Wano. Now, as the admiral caused great problems for the inhabitants of Wano, Weevil arrived and protected the village. Unfortunately, even though Weevil is an extremely powerful pirate, being even a former warlord, he still wasn't able to face the great strength of an admiral. During his battle against the Navy, Weevil was captured by Ryokugyu. After the events in Wano, Marco comes back to Sphinx Island where he encounters Mrs. Bakken, Weevil's mother, and she asks Marco to bring her son back and give him Whitebeard's inheritance. Marco thanks her and her son for saving the island, and even serving as a sacrifice for the Marines to leave the island that had a great sentimental value for him and his late captain. But unfortunately, he couldn't do anything about Weevil. Ms. Bakken is enraged with Marco, saying that he is indeed his former captain's son, and that if he had any doubts about her son Weevil's parentage, then he need only ask Vegapunk about his parentage. This sentence could be foreshadowing that Weevil might be a clone of Whitebeard himself, although he might not be a perfect clone, and he may have had several changes in appearance and even his strength made. And it's even possible that he is actually Newgate's son, but through some genetic implantation that Vegapunk may have done in Bakken, causing her to have Edward Newgate's child without him even knowing. The scene then changes again to the sea, and to be more exact, to Admiral Kizaru's ship that was en route to Egghead, possibly being quite close to reaching the island. The panels show Kizaru bringing some snacks and drinks to an old man on the ship, but their identity isn't revealed until the moment that Kizaru approaches him. Before this mysterious guest is served, the Marines test the food out to make sure it's not poison, proving that this is a very important person, as normally this treatment is only done for kings or some other noble of great importance. This means that this is a person that Kizaru and the other Marines cannot let die, not even if it was through food that someone could stick something dangerous inside. We next see Kizaru speak to the man in a very respectful way, quite differently from the way he talks to people normally. Kizaru questions the elderly man, asking him if he's ever met Vegapunk. The elderly person replies yes, but only once in the past, demonstrating that they're not friends or anything similar, but merely acquaintances who possibly had some professional contact in the past. Then the true identity of this old man who is talking to Kizaru is revealed, and it is none other than a member of the Gorosei, one of the most powerful people in the whole world of One Piece. This is the Gorosei who has a scar on the left side of his face and gray braids. Along with this, his name is revealed for the very first time, being the only Gorosei that we currently know the name of. This Gorosei's name is Saturno, being written on the board, and it's said to be revealed as Saint Garcia Saturno, something that we don't really know the meaning of this name, but apparently it has a subtitle before his original name, meaning that there may be other details revealed to us in the future. The Gorosei Saturno continues the conversation with Admiral Kizaru, saying that he regrets having reached the point where he would have to take Vegapunk's life, which means that he may actually participate in this confrontation against the Straw Hats and Vegapunk. To take this even further, this means that this is going to be the first Gorosei to ever actually enter combat, demonstrating his skills, something which he might even be superior to Kizaru's skills, or any other admiral for that matter. But unfortunately, we're only going to get to know this in the next chapter, because this is how chapter 1073 ends. Now please keep in mind, as I said earlier, that this is just a leak, and as more information and dialogues from this chapter are released, make sure you stay tuned to the channel, because we will bring you more videos to keep you up to date about everything going on in the One Piece universe. So with all that said, my friends, we'd now love to know what you think about it. What part of this leak are you most excited about? Is it how the Straw Hats and Vegapunk are going to escape the island, the revelation about Weevil possibly really being Whitebeard's son, or us learning the true name of one of the 5 Gorosei? Let us know what you think about that and where it's going to lead us in the story in the comments below. So as we wrap up our leak video for the day, we'd like to thank you all so much for watching the video, especially those of you who've made it here to the very end. Be sure you comment on any themes or ideas that you'd like to see in future videos. And also, since you made it this far, give us a like and hit that red subscribe button before you head out to take on the rest of your day. I hope to see you all in our next video. Let's keep sailing this giant sea together. Take care.